In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a popular podcast. Now, after consulting thousands of podcast owners, we know a thing or two about converting a podcast into a very viral podcast that goes around and around and around. So, about to share that secret with you today in this video. Now, make sure, if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe to us right here by clicking that red button, and you can get all the best podcasting news and marketing news directly from me straight up. Now, also make sure you are a member of Pod Valley. Become our Facebook group member and get all the resource that you need, free resource on how to start a podcast, monetize a podcast, and amazing podcast tools directly from Pod Valley. Now, let's talk about how to actually create a popular podcast. Now, one of the biggest myths that I have heard and a lot of people have talked about is does who you host your podcast with, does that matter? Or does the equipment that you use, does that matter? Now, to some point, right? So you can't have a podcast where it's like, it hurts because there's too much background noise, but I think you can get a decent sound quality from an expensive tools. Use your iPhone, your Android phone has a pretty good mic. Just make sure it has the right settings, okay? So number one, and your hosting company doesn't really matter, okay? What matters is these things I'm about to teach you right now. So let's go over them right now. So number one, structure. Now structure, people might be telling you intro, content, outro. Yeah, add an intro, nice jingle, add an outro, that's fine. But what really matters is the content. Now, no one tells you how to structure your content. Now, I will today. Now, we use a method called AIDA, A-I-D-A. Now, what is AIDA? So it's a popular copywriting. Don't worry about it. It's a popular copywriting method that it's being used for like hundreds of years, and I want to go ahead and reveal it to you how you can use it on your podcast. So A stands for attention, okay? Attention. Now, I, interest for interest, D for desire, A for action. So attention, interest, desire, and action, okay? Now, how do you actually put that into your content? Now, attention wise, so you have to get people's attention. At the beginning of your podcast, make sure you tell them, hey, in this podcast you'll be learning, we'll be talking about this interesting something, somehow a big claim that is going to be revealed by you or your podcast guest, okay? That's one. And interest, so you have to tell people an interesting fact. So you got your claim, big claim, right? So, hey, in this podcast, we'll be talking about how to actually make money through blah, blah, blah. Hey, did you know this method has been used by blah, 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 blah. So you give some facts. Now, desire, okay? Now, interest is where most of the content is. Interest is where a guest speaks. Now, desire is what we call future pacing. Future pacing means you want your customers to align with you. Now, you could be selling something, right? That's usually what you'd use AIDA for, but not in this sense. So desire in this sense is you want your customers, your listeners, your listeners are your customers, right? You want your listeners to align with you, saying, hey, that's an amazing way. I love it. I wish I could do it. Maybe I could be that guest. Maybe I could be that guy on the podcast. You want that feeling. So desire. Okay? And action. A is for action. Now, what is an action? Now, in marketing, action means signing up, buying, and things like that. In podcast, what can it be? In podcast, it could be, hey, make sure to share this podcast. If you learned what you did, if you liked what you learned today, make sure to share it. Tell people at the end of every podcast to do something, okay? If you have an amazing podcast and you tell people, thank you, have a nice day, see you next time, okay? Yeah, that's fine. My phone is going to remind me about your podcast next time, but what can a listener do? Because they got that information in their head. They got to use it, okay? Now, the action is simple as this, if you love this podcast, make sure right now to share it with your 3 best friends. Simple. Now, if you loved what you learned today, if you want more details, make sure to go to our website and click on this link to learn more or sign up for our action, okay? AIDA, 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 AIDA. So what you need to do is get used to it. AIDA, AIDA, AIDA. So if you if you want to learn more about this method, I've done a different video about AIDA. It's a totally different topic, but it might help you if you want to learn more. Okay, so AIDA, AIDA, AIDA. Get it in your head. AIDA, AIDA. Attention, interest, desire, action. Sweet. Now, so make sure you master it, okay? Make sure you master that, okay? Now, length of your podcast. Now, so whenever somebody is asking how long should your podcast be, people are like, oh, how long as it needs to be and short enough to deliver the message? That's bullshit, okay? Excuse my language, but that is the worst advice anybody can give you, okay? Now, here's how you determine what's your length. Now, so who is your audience, okay? If your audience is me, I'm a software guy, right? So I own software companies, right? I own software companies. My drive from my home to my office is about 25 minutes. Can I listen to your podcast while I'm commuting? Think about that. Now, if I am in home, a dad or mom, then hey, I got more time. So your podcast could be longer. You don't want people to listen to your podcast and be like, oh, I'm gonna miss it. I have to go somewhere. So the whole rule of thumb is short enough so that people don't have to stop your podcast in the middle. That's the whole thing. So to know that, you have to know who your audience is. Make sure you create a persona. What I say, persona is, okay, so my audience is Bob. Now, what does Bob like to do? Bob is a CEO of a company, is a VP. He's a busy guy. He thinks numbers. So me, if I were to be interested to a podcast, I want to know numbers. I want to know growth tactics. I want to know things that's going to help me grow my company, okay? My companies, right? So that's the whole thing. So it depends on your audience persona. You got it? Let's move on. Now, virality factor. Now, let's talk about it. So, number one, you have to make it easy enough for people to share your podcast. Now, if you're sharing your Spotify link or your iTunes link, that's stupid. Straight up stupid. You know why? Because I've been saying it for years, okay? Spotify, Google, all these other companies, Apple, right? Okay, whenever you send people straight up to them, you're helping them. You're not helping yourself at all, okay? So make sure you are sharing your own website. Now, if you don't have one, go to Pod Valley right now, and let me show it to you. It's pretty cool. So you go to Pod Valley, claim your podcast, right? And you click on claim. It's free, right? You can love it. So you come up here, and I'm gonna find my podcast, okay? I'm gonna find a random one here, so I can show you what it actually does. So 10, this random, okay? So find your podcast and click on this button and claim it right now. Then share this link. You can even use your own URL. You don't have to use this, right? Use it because it has all these Spotify, all these links, and people can listen to it from the site, and they can opt in. You can, collect email address. So use this, okay? Don't be sending people to Spotify. What good does that do to you? Nothing, okay? You put this link on your Instagram profile. Got it? So right here, so if you go to Instagram, so if you put that link right here, people can listen to Spotify, whatever the hell they want to use, but they will go to your site here and they'll be able to opt in. They can even listen right now. So do that right now, okay? Now, so that's how easy do you make it to share with people. So once I go to your podcast, I can share that same link with my friend. So make it easy for people to share, okay? Make sure you do that. Also, one of the cool things is, okay, how easy can you? So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, others, right? So you gotta let people share the podcast. If I like your podcast, I wanna share it with my friends. That's what we talked about on the structure action, right? So you come back here. So you have to have social media links like these. So make sure you allow people to share in the most easiest way possible. If you share a Spotify link on your Instagram, I have Spotify. Why would my friend waste time downloading Spotify? They wouldn't. And why would I share it? I wouldn't. Okay, maybe my friends use Android and they got something else. I wouldn't. So you get the idea, right? So make sure you make it easy for people to share. Now, number 2 is whenever you have a guest, okay, don't just pick out your guests because they know about something. Please don't do that. What you need to be doing is you have to find a guest that has the viral factor. The viral factor is, okay, are they popular? Do they have some sort of following? Can they make your can they bring 100 new listeners to your podcast? That's the whole thing. So make sure when you're picking your guest, make sure they got some guts, okay? Because there's no shortage of people. You can find other people who are more popular. Use them, okay? Don't just bring your friends over on your podcast. Oh, friends, Bob, Jill. Hey, does Bob and Jill, do they have the virality factor? If they don't, let them go, okay? Now, the biggest thing is value. Why would I waste time listening to your podcast if I can't get anything out of it? Will I get anything out of your podcast? If not, I got something else to listen to. So make sure you respect people's time and you give them the pleasant experience. You teach them something. You get their brain, running, okay? So make sure at the end of the podcast, you recap what they learned today. So today in this video, you learned how to make your podcast viral. And today, you're going to go ahead and share this YouTube link with your friends who are also podcasters, and they're gonna appreciate you because you were that guy who brought that new knowledge to them. They're gonna respect you when they use this content. They're gonna respect you more than me because you introduced them to this video. It's a win-win situation. So go ahead right now and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You should have already. And share this video with your friends. Now, last, okay? So those were free and easy things that you can do. Now, how can you boost it? Now, ads, okay? Now, is running ads good? It depends. It depends on what you're doing, what your goal is. If your goal is to make money from your podcast, definitely, okay? If you're just doing it for a hobby, maybe not. Maybe you're just gonna focus on those other things and you'll be fine, okay? Make sure to do that, okay? So if you're running ads, you can do Instagram ads, Facebook ads, but please, for God's sake, do not run press releases, okay? You're not popular yet. Unless you're popular, if you're wasting money on press releases, okay, think about it, okay? You release a press release, you paid somebody $99 and it gets published on this random site that you haven't heard of, okay? No one goes there. How is it helping you? It doesn't, okay? Please do not waste time or money on press releases unless you know what you're doing. Even if you're just starting a podcast, please save that money for something else, okay? So with that, maybe I'll do a video on ads on a different video, but make sure to subscribe to this channel so there you can watch other videos that I've done on podcasting. Makes sense? Sounds fair? Have a beautiful day and God bless you.